You feel guilty when you treat yourself, as if every personal expense was a theft, as if pleasure always came with a moral invoice. That discomfort isn't about price, it's about permission. A shirt, a coffee, a day off. Everything feels like transgression. Your mind says, there are more important things, but never defines them. It only reminds you that you are not one of them. That guilt has a structure. You were trained to be your own supervisor, to mistake self-care for selfishness, deserving for arrogance. They call it maturity, but it's conditioning. Guilt was installed to keep your desires in check, to make you question your needs. The system taught you to fear what brings joy. It made your pleasure suspicious. We are collapsing. Burnout is glorified. No one rests without explaining. People can't enjoy anything without guilt. The body is tired. The wallet is empty. The soul is drenched in shame. And in this battlefield, even basic self-care feels radical. Pleasure becomes a minefield. Spending on yourself becomes a crime you try to justify. I lived that script. I thought self-gifting was weakness. I feared losing control. I feared looking selfish. Until I saw the truth, it wasn't guilt, it was grief. Grief for never having been a priority in my own life. Grief for forgetting what it means to deserve without proof. This video is not about spending more. It's about not punishing yourself for spending at all. It's about reclaiming the power to say, this is for me, and that's enough. The system taught you to count every cent but never taught you how to value yourself. It's time to relearn. From a young age, you learned that every gesture of pleasure comes with a condition. That giving yourself anything nice demands justification, balance, and apology. Society doesn't shout it, it whispers. You internalize it. You become your own critic. Desires are negotiated, feelings filtered through invisible spreadsheets measuring your worth. And somehow, you always come up short. You don't spend poorly. You spend in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of losing control, fear of feeling good, only to be punished later. Your anxiety isn't about lack of money. It's about the emotional weight of self-directed decisions. A coat you love, a break you need, a coffee out of routine. Every choice threatens the identity you've built. Responsible, restrained, always in control. But that persona doesn't feel. He achieves goals but doesn't recognize himself in the mirror. He's admired and hollow. He saves money but cannot enjoy it. He's emotionally sterile, living at war with his own pleasure. Guilt became doctrine, as if suffering were proof of worth, as if unplanned joy was a betrayal of duty. But what if that doctrine is flawed? What if it's just control disguised as responsibility, a leash made of virtue that tightens every time you think of choosing yourself? If you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, know this. The guilt is not yours, it was installed. Like a guard dog trained to bark when you step outside the fence. But you're not the trespasser. You're the owner, and it's time to call the dog off. Guilt isn't born from what you do. It's born from the meaning you've attached to it. Spending on yourself doesn't hurt because of the cost. It hurts because someone, somewhere, told you that you are not worth the investment. Maybe it was a sentence in childhood, a disapproving look, a moment where you saw someone punished for wanting more. Or maybe it was praise, so responsible, so modest, that shaped your entire idea of love. From that moment, desire became dangerous. Pleasure needed supervision. You began editing yourself, shrinking, contorting, guessing what others expected. You forgot what you wanted, and built a voice in your mind, often sounding like your parents or teachers, repeating endlessly, "This is too much for you." It doesn't scream, it whispers, and it hurts more for it. This invisible contract signed in silence is still active, maintained by fear, reinforced by guilt, sealed by emotional loyalty. You fear that if you give yourself too much, you'll disappoint those who taught you self-erasure, even if they're gone, even if they had no idea what they did. You stay loyal, not from obligation, but from warped affection. That's how you begin confusing maturity with deprivation, responsibility with self-punishment, independence with isolation. The more you do the right thing, the more distant you feel from yourself. You've become a performer of unseen expectations. But deep down, what you crave is to tear up the pact, to hold your own desire in your hands again, to believe that it's safe to want, because this is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It's about reclaiming the parts of you buried under approval and turning guilt into reconciliation. That voice in your head, the one that belittles your wants and shames your joy, it's not you. It was implanted, trained. It uses your words, your memories, your tone. That's why it feels familiar. But it didn't come from you. It came from repetition, conditioning, emotional survival. And now it wears the mask of conscience. It tells you you don't need this. But it means you don't deserve this. It says, be careful. But it means don't trust yourself. It praises restraint while crushing your joy. It wants you to shrink, postpone, forget. Not for your balance, but for your obedience. You're not afraid of spending. You're afraid of what comes after. Liking it, owning it, believing that you deserve it. You're afraid of being someone who chooses joy without earning it through pain, because you've tied pleasure to guilt. And now, when guilt loosens, you feel unanchored. But being unanchored is the start of freedom. It's how you realign. That voice will resist. It will scream that you're selfish, reckless, irresponsible. But pause and ask, who profits from you staying small? Who benefits when you deny yourself? Who gains from your chronic shame? Maybe the problem isn't that you're too indulgent. Maybe it's that the system fed you a parasite and called it discipline. Time to evict it. Worthiness won't just appear. You won't suddenly wake up believing you're enough. Permission doesn't descend from the sky. It's cultivated. Like a muscle forgotten, it must be trained. And training it will feel strange. Buying something for yourself might trigger unease, not from the cost, but from disobedience. You'll be breaking the internal rule, don't put yourself first. That discomfort is a sign you're healing, because every act of self-affirmation is symbolic. You don't get the coffee because you need it. You get it because you're retraining your brain to stop punishing joy. You're telling yourself, this is okay. I matter. What I want also has weight. That's not indulgence, it's realignment. This isn't about buying more. It's about not paying with guilt. It's about forming a new language within, one that says, I'm allowed to feel good even if nothing is perfect. I can give to myself without believing I'm stealing from someone else. I exist, and that is reason enough. Start small, with what hurts least. A meal you love, a walk, your time. Watch what happens inside. Watch the voice that wants to undo it. And when it shows up, answer with presence, with certainty. Tell yourself, this isn't waste, it's restoration. You've denied yourself for years. Now it's time to return. Reconciliation doesn't need applause. It doesn't need permission. It only needs presence and the courage to say yes to you. You don't need permission anymore. It won't come from others. No certificate will arrive declaring you finally worthy. The only validation that counts now is your own. Because the guilt of spending on yourself was never about money. It was about meaning. You're not afraid of expenses. You're afraid of what they represent when directed at you. Joy, freedom, presence. You were trained to use money for survival, but never for self-love. And that's why it hurts. To invest in yourself feels like a betrayal. But balanced self-investment is not irresponsibility. It's emotional justice. It's saying, I deserve to wear well, eat well, live well, breathe fully. It's ending the era of self-abandonment. It's making money a bridge, not a leash. You don't have to be rich to feel worthy. You have to be reconciled. That starts small, with how you no longer punish yourself for choosing you, with how each symbolic purchase becomes a statement. I am also part of what I sustain. Today, you have a choice, to make money your enemy or to use it as medicine, as mirror, as tool, not to prove anything, but to finally live without apology. If this video reached a forgotten part of you, respond. Comment what hit hardest or what freed you. Share it with someone else stuck in the same silent war. And if you're ready to rebuild that emotional financial foundation, subscribe. This war isn't against money. It's against the voice that told you weren't worth using it for.